the parks, all of the green areas, the open areas, the forested areas in metropolitan areas, they are a piece of the work, and they are important, and we often ignore them. They're considered the forgotten lands. But also, the people are considered the forgotten people in many cases. And so it's up to us to figure out ways to connect them to nature in a way that's non-threatening, that's more of a partnership and not just a dictatorship. And so most people, when they talk about partnerships, they gleam over it and say, oh yeah, partnerships are important, but they don't get to what people actually need to make great partnerships. And so I talk about and believe that people want what most people want in a great workplace. They want respect. They want to know that their opinion counts. They want to know that others know that they have pride in their community, in their environment too, and that there are, people that really matter, and that we need to figure out a way to make them feel that way. And that's all about respect as well. Back in the 90s, I was involved. I was working as a biologist in Minneapolis and had the privilege to work with the budget development for the Chicago Wilderness Project, which is an area in the Chicago area where they were trying really hard to figure out how to really bring people back to the land, also to get government and other agencies more engaged in what was going on in the wild lands. I'll have to admit that some people were snickering and laughing when we were working on this budget initiative, saying, oh, nobody cares about urban lands. This won't go very far. And it was amazing, but because of the passion, the persistence, and the partnership of those at the local area, it worked. And now the Chicago Wilderness Project is a sterling silver role model for other urban communities that are trying to start metropolitan conservation partnerships in their communities. So it's certainly a brainchild, and certainly something that's positive because of, as I said, the passion, the partnership, and the persistence of the people. And my quote is that if the shoe fits, buy it in every color. So mimic those behaviors that are great in Chicago, but also you have to enhance those partnerships in other part of the country because they may not work in that area. And we have the privilege now of working on the Baltimore Wilderness Project. And it's very new. It's all about reaching out to urban communities. And in the startup, what I realized in my observation is that it hasn't been successful in many other urban communities because people have stalled, they've been stuck, or they've been scared. Stalled, stuck, or scared. And that fear is one that will keep them from moving forward because they've been afraid to reach out to a community that they're not comfortable with, that they don't know about, and that works from both sides. The minority populations, they haven't worked a lot with conservationists, so they have fear, and they have traditions that they've heard that when you go outside, the boogeyman is out there. Someone could kill, shoot, rob, harm you in the woods. So figuring out a way to make them feel more comfortable in that environment. On the other hand, the majority population have been afraid, and they've stalled and been stuck because they've had some failures, and they don't realize there's a songwriter that says we fall down but we get up, we fall down but we get up. For winners or losers that fall down but get back up again and again and again. And so in Baltimore, what we're hoping is that they will continue to move forward, and we can continue to work this partnership, enhancing what we've learned and seen in Chicago and Portland, Kansas City, Milwaukee, and other places, to have another great model here on the East Coast. Well, one of the things that happens when people are afraid of the outdoors is usually because of the lack of experience. And so we have a program now where we're working in the Baltimore schools, and I'll be doing 12 speeches in 12 different schools that we strategically selected. The Chesapeake Conservancy, they kicked me out of the door. I'm on their board of directors, and they kicked me out of the door, and they said, go out and talk to the schools, because they need to see a person that looked like them in many of these cases, because you have to build trust. Trust is a big issue. And so first, building trust, and then second, exposure at the earliest age possible. And I think about why I'm not afraid of the outdoors, whereas my sister, who is 2.5 years my senior, is afraid of the outdoors. In a sense, is because I was out there with the bugs and the bunnies, and she didn't have that experience. So taking the kids outside, doing projects. This particular school is Edmondson West High School in Baltimore. They're going to be outside planting 150 trees on their campus. And just think about what they can do in an environment like that. So start small and slow, give them that exposure, and then stay with them. That's what I'm worried about. Some of these initiatives that we have, large-scale land conservation, these conferences like this, they could be the flavor of the month. A new administration will come along, a new group of leaders will come along, and they will die by the wayside. Sustainability is important in urban communities because that's where you build the trust. People have to see you, believe you, and then you can achieve it. And then finally, believe in magic. I think sometimes we try too hard to make sure everything's perfect, but sometimes we just got to believe it's going to work out okay.